Quiet on set. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Let's Poddy podcast with your host, Benji Weatherly. It's the podcast where you learn absolutely nothing.
Looking for a new way to elevate your look? Let's Poddy's newest sponsor, Ponto Footwear, makes the perfect addition to your wardrobe. Their Pacific Dress sneaker is responsibly made with recycled materials. And with its water-resistant and slip-resistant design, you'll be ready for anything. Use our code PODDY15 for 15% off on your order at pontofootwear.com.
What's up, everyone? This is Annie, the producer for Let's Poddy. Benji's been cramming recently getting his restaurant ready to open, so unfortunately we haven't been able to meet with our next guest quite yet. But what we wanted to do in the meantime is to put together a full episode of all of our favorite moments from Season 1. We've had so much fun with the Poddy so far, and we're so grateful for our listeners that have joined us more recently, and those that have been with us since Episode 1. Your regularly scheduled Ridiculousness with Benji will be back shortly.
So talking about the drive-thrus, seeing all the Insta, all the stuff and the hype, it's all coming to fruition in like 48 countdown Mission Impossible style.
It's close. We
It's
still need
bringing
an
it close.
RV.
We're bringing it back. This is number 10.
This is not.
We've been talking about it for fucking 5 years.
Oh, too good. So the new faces, I'm going to just throw it out there because I think he's going to be the drive-through face for the next 10, 15 years is Parker Coffin.
Parker Coffin's coming.
Has the best energy, throws
it.
so much udder when he's in the water, and he has the best attitude. Can't wait to throw him on a
We should
bowl.
tell people too, like this
Can't wait
is
to
like
drag him behind a
Benji-
boat.
This is like Benji and I were just passing the baton.
Yes.
We want to like have another group of guys take this over and run with it because we've already got calls. We are going to do the drive-through Indonesia with Rizal. We're going to do the drive-through Ireland with Peter over there and go surf slabs and shit. So we want to set this up to where we do 3 or 4 of these a year. And they just go, and then maybe Benji and I'll stop by every once in a while. But you know, it's time to pass the baton. We,
Yeah.
you know,
And the next guy is the East Coast Jam, which his brother could step in if Eric got hurt playing guitar or something. And it's Eric Geiselman.
It's just E. We just put it as E. Geiselman.
Yeah.
so it
either
works.
one.
Anybody can come. Yeah, whatever.
Either one.
Just one of the brothers. And then we have Griff for sure showing up, hopefully for
Griff
the whole thing.
Colafinto's coming.
8 a.m.
Probably the
pickup.
whole trip, but 8 a.m. we pick him up in San Clemente.
We're starting this thing in 48 hours.
Hendrix Frankenreiter is going to be here. My son. He
right.
is going to be here at the house, and I'm throwing him in the RV, and he's coming with us. He has no idea, but surprise.
It's
It's going to be cool to show him that.
I'm going to try to pass the baton on to him, too, because enough's enough.
And that's enough. You better grow a mustache quick.
I think he has one.
Dude, are you and Eric going to play music on the drive-thru?
Sure. I'm going to try. The goal is to try to go to a pawn shop, and I want to get a kick snare and a hi-hat, put it back in the RV, a bass rig, guitar rig, and like a keyboard and some percussion stuff, and we're just going to play music as we drive.
What about, can I use the for the opening of my podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Can I?
You know,
Did you have it on your phone?
I can't find it. I don't know.
You have it on, you texted
Oh,
me.
yeah, you got it then.
Damn it. That's going to be hard
Play
to
it.
find.
My speakers are broken.
Okay, what if I need one of those young kids to do this thing because I always got to look up an old text. Let's see it. Hey, but do you mind if I use that as my opening?
You can use it.
This is going to be like, Let's Poddy.
Let's Poddy by Benji Weatherly.
That's right.
The podcast that finds out nothing.
The podcast that's about absolutely nothing.
You'll learn nothing.
Let's Poddy with Benji Weatherly, right?
Yeah.
Today, our guest is Jim Lindberg, a.k.a. the Penny Wise Clown, right? When did you guys start your band? And when did you guys, who came up with the sound? Was it Byron on the drums that kind of started? Was it Jason, the first drummer?
Yeah, Jason was the first bass player and
Oh, bass.
songwriter. We grew up the next street over from me. He was lived next door to my best friend. I used to go through the houses and so see him all the time from a young
You guys are
age.
beach rats.
Yeah,
Manhattan
total beach rats. We lived on a hill, super steep hill, and so this is like middle school, like 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Live on a really, really steepest hill in Hermosa Beach, 24th Street. And we would have to bomb the hill to get to the surf every morning. We'd surf before school.
How many times did that not go well?
I can show you my knees to show you the scars that are still here because I'd have to bomb this hill every day. Your friends would be like, come on,
I love that you say you had to.
Yeah,
That's
no,
our
pussy.
lives.
Yeah.
It's like growing up with Slater was, you won't go, you won't go, you won't go.
Yeah.
And I have so many scars because I did go.
Yeah.
And you were going no matter what. You're like, I had to do it.
Yeah, your friend would be sitting there like, I don't feel like bombing it today. Dude, you're the biggest pussy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Okay, here, I'm doing it. That's a funny story on that. One time we were coming back from the surf, and this little kid was crying at the top of the big hill, crying, and we're all, what's wrong? He's all, someone took my skateboard and went down the hill, and we're like, oh, let's see where he is. We look down, and there's this guy just laid out, spread eagle.
Was it your buddy?
Yeah, no, it was
Some random guy?
kook grabbed this little kid's board and tried to bomb the hill on it. Ate shit. We go down there. He's covered in raspberries,
shit.
top to bottom. Grab the kid's board.
Was he drunk? I hope he at least didn't feel what I
just gave the skateboard back to the kid. And
did the kid bomb it? He's lying next to the guy like, damn it.
Motley Crue was from around here. I was in a battle of bands with Motley Crue in one of my high school bands.
The real Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they won.
Wait, but you got to tell a little bit about that story. That's the best story I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
LA, or what's a Motley Crue is from Cali? Are those guys from here?
Yeah. Some of them are from around here.
And you guys had Battle of Bands against Motley Crue?
Bands.
And was it called Pennywise?
This was my previous band, but
What's that one called?
It was called Joe Nobody.
Joe Nobody.
You would say, who was at the party? Joe Nobody was there. So we played this battle of bands, got our ass kicked by Motley Crue.
Were you singing in that one?
I was singing in that one, yeah. And then I always knew Jason, always knew Fletcher from high school as being this tall, skinny kid, but shaved head, and only a few of us were getting into punk rock. And, obviously Descendants were from our high school, and guys from Black Flag and stuff like that. So it was all happening before us, during, and after our.
Today, I'm super happy to have an old friend that's basically one of my mentors and one of the greatest people I know, and one of his first team riders, and one of his best friends in the world. First, we got Bob Hurley from Billabong. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, Benji.
From Hurley. So we never talked about this. Let's talk about it really quick. The where Bob started, all of the surf kind of memorabilia. I mean, for where he came from was a story that's really interesting, and not many people know. Gordon Merchant started Billabong Surf Company in 1972, right? And you decided, well, you tell the story.
Yeah, 1983, we bought it to the States because everybody wanted it and nobody could get it. And then, Gordon trusted us.
Distribution's going on. It wasn't a thing like it is nowadays where there's a company that comes in and distributes all these brands. You're
he told us before many times, but tell the story. How'd you meet Gordon? How'd you buy the...
Yeah, how did you do
come
it?
up with 35 grand and bake all your...
Oh, yeah. Well, he wouldn't answer my letters for a long time.
So and
I couldn't even write them. My guy that ran my surf shop, Joe K, 27. Joe K, that was a teacher, and he ran my surf shop. And I'm like, hey, can you write me a letter that sounds like official to this guy in Australia? Seriously, 8 letters, no answers. But I was friends with Jim Banks, Alan Byrne, a little bit with Joe Engel. And
those guys are tight with
Billabong, Gordon. And so one day I'm shaping in my surf shop, and this woman named Helen Montez used to run my shop as a manager. She came back one day. She's like, Bob, there's some Aussie guy out there with his kids that wants to see you. I have foam dust caked all over me. I'm like, frick, really? It's 1,000,000 degrees out. I'm way behind. Really? Okay. Shh, hose it all off. I got there. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, I'm Gordon. I'm like, oh, yeah, the guy that never writes me back. Hey, what's up, dude? He's like, oh, just on my way to Disneyland. Just thought I'd stop in. I'm like, yeah, cool. What do you want? He's like, well, yeah.
Wait. Tell us what those letters said.
The letter said, hey, I'd really like to import your stuff for my surf shop in Costa Mesa. And my 100 square foot surf shop. I had no idea about to distribute it, right? No idea. Awesome. And he's like, so finally he's like, yeah, well, here's the deal. Like, if you would like to get my company's shorts over here, you need to buy 3,000 pair, and they're $9 a pair. I'm like, yep, I'll do it. I had no idea what to do. I went home and told Shelly, I'm like, hey, Shelly, we need to do this. And finally the guy came, and she's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Where are you going to get the money? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm sure we'll figure it out.
How long did you have?
I said yes without having the money.
I know, but how long did you have to get the money?
I'm going to say 45 days.
Oh my gosh.
So I asked people that were like investment type people, and everybody said, "No, you're crazy. What do you, dude? Come on." And then so I started begging friends and family, like my mom, my brother, my next door neighbor, and a couple other people invested. So for $5,000, you got 4% of our company. So we raised $45,000. Shelly and I kept, I think it was 72% of the company, and the partners had 28. I didn't put any in, but I put in all the sweat equity, you know, and I never.
8 guys put in money. How many people?
Yeah, 8 or 9. I can't remember. But yeah, it was a pretty sick story. And they all made a lot of money off it. And it worked out good. And we didn't sue each other.
And did you buy them out eventually? Is that how it worked?
Sometimes if they wanted to. Like some people had some personal issues. Like maybe they were getting divorced. They needed to be bought out. Or maybe they had other issues. They needed to get bought out. And we always did that, but just on book value, you know, like whatever they had earned, that's what they could get.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
It was really fun.
That was the best time ever, and it's the reason I wanted to be a pro surfer is Billabong.
Yeah, Billabong was
surfing the summer,
super rad.
Me and Kalani Robs watching that
Aki,
100 times
Gary
over.
Green.
Jess and Bud.
Gary Green could keep up with you guys on jokes. He's that fast.
I'm going to get his interview eventually too.
The guy's
a
hilarious, dude.
Greeny's great.
That's so
best.
cool.
So I used to be driving up to the Billabong.
So what? It's 84. You took it over. I mean, I took it over, but you started in
83,
America. What year did you get picked up as a surfer?
Right away when I was 15, he came down to Bird Surf Shop.
That's 80 what?
Winnesea Beach and Surf.
83, probably.
No idea.
Okay, so he really was one of the
Yeah.
first ones.
The first
I
one.
think he was OG.
That's so cool. And this
in
is this
California.
beyond Blazing Boards?
Long before that. Yeah, long before Beyond Blazing Boards. But he drove down to Winnesea Beach and Surf and met Bird and said, "Hey, who's the cool kid to sponsor?" But
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, this guy." So I was stoked to ride for Bob. And then I got made the national team. So I was the first person to ever turn down being on the national team, because to be on the national team, you had to ride for O'Neill. And I told Bob, "Hey, I got on the national team for the NSSA. They selected me. It's a big deal back then. You remember being on the national team?" He goes, "Well, what are they going to do for you?" I said, "Are they going to get me a wetsuit?" A wetsuit, not a wetsuit sponsor. We're talking a wetsuit. We're talking one. And I get to go to Hawaii. He goes, "Well, I'll get you a wetsuit sponsor and I'll send you to Hawaii." I was like, "Cool." I shined the national team. Ian was pissed, Ian Cairns.
Yeah.
And he got me on Victory. I remember. It was
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
victories are cool.
They were awesome.
Greg
That was
Wade.
the Aki one.
Dude, I rocked that tank top. Like, I made that thing look good. I wore that a lot. And I had the big V. I loved that company.
Victory.
I wish it was still a brand, because it was
Is that an
a great
American
brand.
company?
Great.
It was made in Huntington Beach. Yeah, Greg Wade and his partner Mark Spitaleri. Yeah, they started it, and they made the most comfortable wetsuits. Now they wouldn't last long, but with a wetsuit, they don't last long anyway. So you might as well have a comfortable one,
true.
right?
I never do.
Even
So
the
anyway, I
boys.
used to drive up there, and it was a long drive for me. I was
Dude,
like
from La Jolla to Huntington?
I would drive up.
What
to,
do you have, like a VW?
No, my first car I had a Subaru 4-wheel drive.
I remember the Loya car.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
I bought it myself.
That's really nice.
$126 a month. That thing.
Oh wow.
So
Drove
it
up
was
there.
a lease. I've always
And this is
leased.
when he's still out of a surf shop?
No, this was Billabong had a factory, but my
you already
point
had a
was I would back then there was no cell phone, so I'm a little late. I'd pull over in San Clemente, probably right by Pedro's Tacos, and I would get on a not a cell phone, a payphone,
Gosh, how do we do that?
and I would call and say, "Hey, this is Peter King with Bob Hurley." There, no, okay, call back. "Hi, this is Tom Curran."
He would
Is
do
Bob
that all the
Hurley
time.
there?
Did he?
And he's all,
Yeah.
they're all, "Hold on." He's all, "Hey Tom," I'm all, "No, it's PK."
All the time.
Oh my gosh.
So then I
love
just
it.
would always do fake names, Aki, Curran, just to get him to pick up.
Oh
because
my
he wasn't going to pick up for me.
You know what? Did you, when he pick up, you say, "I'm coming in"?
Yeah, I just want to let you know I'm going to be there 1:30. Don't go to lunch. I mean,
my
if
God,
I'm driving
that's
all the way
so
up, I need
funny.
lunch, you know.
And we had this system where, like, when he would say that, they would page over the intercom, like, Bob Hurley, Tom Curran on
remember
my
the
way.
paging. I
And people
remember
would be
that.
running in going, "Oh my gosh, is Tom Curran really calling you?"
I remember going to Billabong and they would page your name over the thing, and I'd be like, "Oh, he's not coming." Dude, that was my
Imagine
favorite part.
Tom Curran calling you.
You're
What would that
answering.
phone call be?
Yeah, especially then.
He'd be like, "Hey,
Think I need a wetsuit.
okay, I'll talk to you later." Why'd you call me?
And then Bob would be like, "That was the coolest conversation ever, Tom."
I can remember vividly like
was
where
such
the
a fan.
offices were, and they changed so many times since then. But when you're a kid, the first thing you see, you never forget, like your first house, your first backyard, you know. So like the office.
Is it the one that you had forever? Was
Yeah,
it
it
the same
just
building?
changed a
I don't
lot.
know.
It's always been
It's
there,
the
right?
structure.
Yeah, for a long time. It's not the first 2
Did
years.
you
but
grab
after
all your
that.
stuff out of there? All that old pictures and
I have some
boards?
stuff, yeah.
That was
I
the
have a
coolest
storage
thing
unit.
at the very end of Hurley.
Yeah, yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's a storage
There's-
unit that they have that I
Yeah.
went through the other day to find this wooden board from an art show, and you would not believe the historical stuff in there that people have made through the years.
You should get it down to the Huntington Surf Museum.
No, get it down to the North Shore Breakers Museum.
Ooh, that would be cool. That's really cool, man. And I am so glad I asked that story because that's where it all started.
It's been a great journey, man. It's been incredible.
And how many
More fun to
people have worked for this company? I'm one of them. Well, everyone has eventually been taken care of you. I mean, taken care of by you.
How many people have worked, been supported by, sponsored by, sent on their life-changing missions to create the world they have, you know?
So you had a good run.
But this is how I want to start today's podcast. So it was my birthday this last week, as you know, because I invited you.
Oh, that's right.
But
No,
you were
tagged you
in
on the DM
Colorado or something,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
something fabulous. Like, you know, you're probably with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, I was on a
and-
drive-through. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I had an excuse. It's an alibi. Not a good one, but...
Right. Okay, well, probably a lot of big actors were there, I'm sure.
It was a classic whodunit.
Kristen
Still a
Stewart,
good movie of the
Kristen
summer.
Stewart was there, Bill Murray. I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people
Billy.
yeah, were there. So I was having a birthday. Now, I invited your old-time friend and colleague, Kelly Slater, along with Kalani.
Oh, nice.
Right? Now, the response I get, Kelly was the very first person to RSVP for the party. But you know how he RSVPs? He gives me a heart emoji. Because obviously he's on his phone all the time.
That
so
means-
he gives me the heart emoji, which, like, what the fuck does
he
that
can't
mean?
type anything.
We're
Yeah.
grown,
A
little tap,
we're
just a little
grown-ass
tap.
people. So,
Yeah.
like, why can't, what does the emoji mean? Okay.
He's getting to a point where he doesn't even have to touch his phone. He's just like, I don't even care.
Yeah,
And
right.
just,
So
the emoji.
that's issue number one. Issue number two, then, this is what Kalani texts me. Liddy. She can't even say, she makes lit even longer. Like trying to Aussie it. Like, Liddy, I'll be home. See you then, boss. Like, I don't even know. What home? Is that Hawaii?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What,
And,
and
they had no intentions of being there either, right?
No, yeah.
Just
What does it
ghosted
mean?
you after that?
Yeah.
We
Like-
were all there. We showed up.
Yeah. Well, you live in his house.
We're
You're best friends.
5
But them
minutes away,
saying
but-
that is almost kind of insulting because you're like, I know you're going to be in Jamaica. Don't kid me. You're on a plane right now to like Haiti. You're not coming. And he's like, heart emoji. RSVP. Tell me, Shelby, about the time where you guys used to do bets in New York. Because you were Sex in the City before Sex in the City is what I've heard. You guys
Yeah.
had your own little clique.
Yeah.
Girls
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
You and Justine. And
Yeah.
who's the
Sherry,
other?
all the mermaids.
What was her name?
Wendy Giles.
What happened to that lady?
She's up Northern Cal.
Is it okay to say lady, or is that
Yeah,
like, do I
she's
get
a-
canceled
they're
for
ladies,
saying lady?
But they were all mermaids. Remember how we were in the mermaid parade?
Right,
On the hood of a
okay.
Cadillac. It was
See, that's what I'm saying. You can actually really dive into that. But I heard a rumor that you used to do bets at the end of the night to see who could make out with guys or
Yeah.
something.
And
Wait, whoa,
No,
hold on.
this is great.
these
This
were
is great.
$5 bets.
$5. But I heard one
Sure.
time.
Wait, and was
you
it like
got
a tip
check.
jar?
I
Like,
did get a check.
She got a check for making out with a guy.
Yeah.
And how much was that?
$5.
Okay, a $5
wait,
check.
but it's five, so it's not like each.
So either
not each
in
of
the
you-
given
not
moment-
that each of you is esteemed women would put in a $5.
No,
like
no,
it was
we
a
would get
$5
paid $5.
total.
So all the mermaids
it's only
in the
$1
morning
each.
had to
Wow,
send you
you guys
cash.
were cheap. What
That was
the
before
fuck?
Venmo
Like,
and COVID.
Yeah, before Venmo and COVID. You would have to send the money.
You'd have to
back
give me
in the morning.
$100 now
Good
with COVID.
point.
Or $5.
But I did accept a check once.
All right, I want to stay in this thread for a second. Who is the worst person that you ever had to make out with in this, just not in life, period, but in
There
in
wasn't worse,
this
but Sherry
process?
Howell, we made some guy and his girlfriend was there, and she did not appreciate it. Like he went with it, and then
wow,
the
that's
girlfriend
awesome.
was in the bar, and then we kind of all had to exit quickly. But like you,
Awesome
Did he
shit.
give the
So
money?
some like shit went down, as
exactly.
Ice-T would say.
Like it didn't.
You're trying to break
Nothing was
people
the
up.
worst. They were always cute, so it's like you got to pick.
Yeah. So are we allowed to talk about real stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Nah,
Go.
okay.
Go.
Let's talk about the.
But I want to know about more homework, Benji. You
Yeah, who
you
else
did.
did you
You know,
call?
I'm
Oh,
impressed.
I'd have to-
And as well, actually, before we talk about more, I wanted to say I'm impressed. I didn't even know.
I didn't even
I
know
mean,
did
in a
homework.
sense, you could
I
kind
called
of,
out like 3
and I
people.
mean this in all due respect, Shelby, because you're an old friend of mine, but Shelby's a bit of a hoe.
Little hoe.
Wait, am I getting canceled
No,
for
you're not
saying
gonna get
that?
canceled, but,
because
like-
I mean, but we have established, or Benji has, that there was money.
Slight hoery.
You know,
going on,
like
yeah.
money paid involved, makeouts for money, so that
Yeah.
does sort of taint.
Yeah, this was supposed to be
this
for children.
romantic.
And now, there's none of it. It's like completely canceled. Everything's done.
I had taken photography like in high school as an elective, and I always thought it was fun, but I didn't really see it as a career path or anything, and just happened to get this big storefront It was like a legal storefront, like 1,600 square feet. We had a pool table, and it's this cool kind of like holes in the ceiling, but a lot of space.
Where you're at now, still like Chinatown area?
She's like on more east, a little farther north. It's like an Avenue C and 3rd Street, which is like kind of rough back then.
And this is 90s?
This is 90 when I first got that place.
1990, wow, that's wild.
But 3 of my roommates were photo assistants at the time, so I was waiting tables and just serving pasta to assholes, and they were like hanging out with hot models and like traveling, doing all these cool jobs. And the day rate back then was like whatever, $150 or what. It's basically what I was making waiting tables. So I was like, shit, maybe I'll try and do this. Yeah. So I made a switch and kind of and back then this is like definitely pre-social media. It's like pre-Craigslist. It was all just like
pre-internet.
Like word of basically it was just word of mouth. It was like this network of photo assistants that all kind of knew each other and got dialed into that. And after a while, I was like, well, shit, I can do that. The funny thing is I got to work for everybody from like close friends of mine to like got to work with like Richard Avedon and Matthew Ralston and some really big names at the time. Yeah. And ironically, like the people who were like really amazing and on top of their game were like kind of more discouraging than inspiring because they were just so. I was like, I can't compete with that. But it was like the kind of the schlubs that you'd work for. They were like, oh, I could definitely do that.
Yeah. The best story about me and Justin was when we were hanging on the North Shore. And I have like, insight to all the best houses that are right at Pipeline during the contest. I can get in and hang out. And it's just normal for me because I've known all these people forever. But no photographers ever go there. And just Sherman kind of got in there a little while, but he kind of got clipped. But he would always kind of get behind the scenes. And you came with me just that one day and got that one of Eddie Vedder with Kelly, which is in Kelly's house hanging up still.
Nice.
And just a couple of shots that you did that day, I was like, oh no, you're a really good photographer. I was like, I didn't want you to shoot photos because I didn't want to freak anybody out, but they love your photos. And everyone just like, when you show them, I love the way you do it too. He shoots prints, like killer ones, which no one does anymore. And he gives it to people like a day after, or maybe even a year after, like later.
A year, like the next season sometimes.
Yeah, and he'll like just slide you the photo and you're like, you see it and you're like, when did you shoot that? You're like, we were eating dinner and I don't remember you having a camera. And he's like, yeah, I just did this. So it always really rings really true with all my really tight friends. Like, hey, if Justin's around, he's shooting photos. Let him. He's cool. And so I just love that part about your fly on the wall. How you do it.
It took a while. That's not when I first started shooting, and that's kind of one of the plagues of being a photo assistant is it's really difficult to not emulate the people that you work for, especially if they're very successful. And like this was in like the late 90s when like fashion was a thing.
Yeah, like Zoolander time.
Fashion Cafe and VH1 Fashion Awards and like all this shit. And I was like, oh, I want to be a fashion photographer. And like that's what I kind of I started shooting like from the book for Mademoiselle, and it's like I was fucking horrible at it. Like I look at that stuff now and it's like cringeworthy, and it's like
wish I was there for those shoots.
And so I had this epiphany at one point. And I was like, listen, like I'm not gay. I don't love to go out every night, and I don't live or die for clothes. Like you got to have at least 2 of those, well, maybe 1. But it's like I had 0, and so I was just kind of in a rut. And this amazing opportunity fell into my way. Like I ended up becoming a personal photographer to Sean Combs.
So that's how you got in with all like the artists, the musicians and stuff? Is
basically a combination of that. And then I guess as a result, I ended up...
The one of him with the baby it's 2 babies, I think, right?
2 twins. And look, those girls are like 14 now.
Oh, no way.
So
you got to get another photo with him like holding them. Like,
and his son, Christian, who's now a rapper, goes by King Combs. He's 21 or something, and like I was there for his first birthday. Like it's so crazy. But I basically my style of shooting in a lot of ways kind of grew as a result of that opportunity, because Puff is pretty much like gave me unfettered access to like travel and do his thing, but it was just understood that like I'm not going to direct him. I'm not going to be up in his grill trying to be his best friend. Like just do what you do. So
that was the big breakthrough.
That was kind of a big breakthrough for me in terms of like finding a style that
did that. And my guest today, and probably frequently for the next 20 years that I'm going to be doing this thing, is my really good friend, childhood friend, and friend for life, Taylor Steele. Before I introduce you anymore, what is your middle name, Taylor?
My middle name is Shane.
What? He's such a Dorian fan.
So
glad I asked that. I never knew your middle name was Shane.
Patrick Shane Dorian. I could have been Shane Steele. And
that's right. You could have been in God's hands. We didn't even know that. And I remember being at the premieres of right in your hometown, and all the kids were freaking out and stuff. My name came up on the video, and I'm going, oh my God, I think I could be a pro surfer. And I was like, I did it. I made a surf movie, right? And the coolest part is the reason why our dynamic was so great with the Momentum generation is because he was the same age as us. Like, not filmmakers were always these older gentlemen that were, way past our age group. So it was really hard to relate, and it was really hard to understand what they were trying to create because we're so far apart. Yeah. But that movie, he went on that trip, and then he went to Porto next?
I went to Porto, and then
he went to Porto with who? I mean, this our trip was kind of like a little side salad. It was cool, but he went with the real guys at the time.
Porto was like, I didn't know that Cabo stuff would even make the movie. That was just like filming it with my friends. And then I was at a PSAA at Trestles, and Rob's like, hey, we're all going to Porto in 3 days. You should go. And I'm like, I don't know anybody going.
And Porto was unknown.
I'm like, well, I was more like, I don't know anybody on the trip, and I don't feel comfortable. And Rob's like, you're going. And so I flew down by myself, and I went down there, and I knew the photographer, Mike Balzer, so I stayed in his room. And then the guys that showed up were like Kelly Slater, Todd Chesser, Brock Little, Shane Dorian, Ross Williams, Pat O'Connell, Vinny De La Pena, right? And then there was Rob showed up too. Rob showed up a couple days later, I think.
Ross
and Ross Williams, yeah, and there was a couple others. I think it was such a big crew, and that sort of was the start of it, because I remember I had this session. It was like a bigger day out, and like down from Porto, there's like sort of this right peak, and it was heavy for me. And I was surfing, and it was just me, Brock, and Chesser, and I got
how's that crew?
I know,
the gnarliest guys ever.
I got a wave that I paddled, scrambled to the side, tuck off late, dropped in, and stood up, and the thing spit so hard it knocked me off my board. And when I came up, Brock was claiming it, and I was like,
no way.
I'm like, wow,
that's the coolest thing ever.
That just changed my whole deal, because then I felt like
part of the crew.
Part of the crew, and I could, like, when I saw them, I wasn't just like a creepy video guy on the beach. I was a surfer too, and that was important to me to have that element. Like everybody at that stage, even like Momentum 2 on, everybody knew that the movies had an impact. Mm-hmm. And so for me, like, it was stressful to not miss a wave. I had that same stress that you guys had on ripping, to not miss the wave of the day.
Right.
And so
doesn't come back.
I would be filming waves that were like, okay, but they, at any moment someone could like turn a wave around and make it a great one, and filming it without even looking to make sure the wave behind it was better. Make sure the Kelly's not going. Whenever Kelly was like, "You're coming,"
oh shit, I'll do the biggest error of my life. Like, oh god, we didn't miss it.
But yeah, so like I was constantly like, because the waves were sometimes people would split peaks and go the opposite directions, or people would, and so for me it was
think fast, man.
I had to make judgment calls on the fly. And I just remember, like, one thing that people don't realize when you're filming the top guys, they're like, oh, that's easy, anybody could do it. But at the end of the day, I was so exhausted from filming and concentrating and watching the ocean that I was just couldn't even speak. I was exhausted. Like, it felt like I worked out all day.
Well, people don't understand when they watch the videos, especially at Macaronis, the Indonesian footage. You're talking about a beach that's 100 degrees, has malaria, you're seasick. You're like, you don't even realize what it's like to be on a boat for 14 days and then go on the beach and then film in 100-degree weather and then not miss a wave. And there's hundreds of waves that I can't even. And then they have to get to the beach. Okay, that's the one. Let's talk about your giant case of $10,000 worth of camera equipment
in a Pelican with a tripod, and you're paddling in with a boogie board, and the waves are washing you on sharp reef.
Okay, that's just to get in to do the stressful work.
Then I'll set it up a little bit. You do that, and then you carry this huge Pelican because it's so heavy, because you stacked everything in this one thing, and you got one arm. Like, I'm a skinny kid. And like one arm, you're dragging this big thing with a tripod, and you can't set it down because you're in waist deep reef, and you're walking across all this. You get to the beach, you set up, you get your angle, you're all good. Everybody paddles out, they surf, they all go in, and you're sitting on the beach still. You're just there by yourself waving and you're like, oh, okay, I think they're done. You don't know. There's nobody letting you know that they're done for the day. They're going to drive to another place, and you're sort of watching the boat. Like, am I done, or am I going back out?
You've already been there 6 hours.
And then you'll see like Tom Kern will paddle back out, and you're like, oh, okay.
He just got up from a nap.
Yeah.
In the AC.
And so someone will show up late. They'll surf, and they're just about done. And you're like, okay, I think that's it. I'm going to go get lunch, and then
Boom.
everybody else jumps back in the water. They've already eaten and rested, and then it's
so true.
It's a rotation of that. So you're doing 12-hour days, and I remember like coming to the boat, and my feet were so swollen, sunburned that they looked like little like sausages. Every little toe was a sausage.
And you have eaten like what, banana all day?
I haven't eaten all day. I'm so fried, and my brain's just fried from watching the waves and picking which one's
And
the
now
right
you're on
one.
a boat that goes like this.
And then I'm on a boat, and I used to get seasick. But all those experiences, like even sleeping in the van until Benji let me. I didn't even get to go into Benji, like let me sleep in his house. But all those experiences, like, weren't even like that bad because I was doing what I loved.
Right.
It was like so obvious that was like
The payoff at the end was so fun.
it was such a reward, and it was such a fun environment to be around with the crew and feel like you had a part in the whole thing, and you weren't just like a bit player that was like chasing their dreams.
Yeah.
We all had our dreams, and we were all going with it. But you know, like my dad used to call me poor specimen because I was,
give us that. What I've heard that name since I met Taylor Steele. Poor specimen. That came from your pops?
My dad used to call me that when I was like 12, 13. He's like, come on, poor specimen, get off the couch. Go do something.
That's who came up with that? I love it.
And
His
so-
dad is the all-time human being.
So, like, I was pretty lazy as a kid. I was creative, but I was pretty lazy until I found my passion. And then it was like all those things of like, you know, being in the sun all day and working hard, and all that felt like nothing when I found it. So, like, for me, I try to push people to find their passions.
Today I have Scott Eastwood, hunter, which is kind of what I want to talk to you about more than anything because I'm such a rookie hunter, but I love it. Surf turkey and
Surf turkey, I love that.
actor. What was your very first actual film that you did? Were you young or were you in your teens?
No, I finished high school and then I went to college, Santa Barbara. I went to Santa Barbara City College.
Oh, the city one's nice.
The City College,
On
yeah.
Sandspit there.
Yeah, I lived right down by the school there, and I was like a bar back essentially.
At the Brophies?
Oh, not at Brophy Brothers, but at a place called Santa Barbara Brew House.
Brew House. I know the one.
Yeah, and so I remember my older sister knew some gal who was like the head bartender there, and she said, "Hey, I can introduce you to her. Maybe she can help you get a job." And so they hired me as like a bar back or a busser, and then I did that for like a year and went to school, and I realized that if I didn't get started acting or doing what I thought I wanted to maybe do while I was in college, I was going to be at the beginning, even if I finished college. So if I went to college for 4 years or 5 years, I was going to be, at Jump Street. I was going to have to start all over. So as much as I loved Santa Barbara and thought this was really fun, it was like a fun college thing, and I was having a good time, I was like, I got to move to LA because I want to give this acting thing a shot and see what it's like to be in movies and see if I can make it happen. So after a year at Santa Barbara, I packed up and went down to Los Angeles, got a shitty apartment, and started valet parking cars and going to the community college there, which at the time was Santa Monica Community College, which was really like kind of the most central community college to go to. And then I started trying to go on auditions. So I found a manager who were like willing to take me on, and like throw
You
me
live
some auditions.
in Santa Monica or in Silver Lake? One of those spots over there.
No, I lived in Santa Monica. I lived actually in Brentwood. Well, like kind of on the border of Brentwood and Santa Monica.
You just have to do it as an actor. Yeah, you have to jump in the fishbowl and kind of live there for a minute.
Kind of got to do the
Gotta
grind,
do it.
like a 10-year. It's like a 10-year grind minimum to just, you
gotta
kind
go
of
to
break in, you kind of start chipping away, and
What was
you
your
get,
first
like, a
gig? I can't wait to hear the first, was it a commercial? How was your first thing?
No, the first gig I had was like a really terrible, probably C or D movie, and I probably had like 3 lines in it. And it was a movie that you would have never seen. It came and went just like that. And I did about 4 or 5 of those. Like little tiny roles. You don't get paid really any money. You're kind of learning what's going on as you're. At the same time,
But was it exciting because it was your very first gig? Where even though it was a B or C movie, you're still like anxiety, your heart's pounding, you're nervous, you're gonna forget lines. Is it still on that excitement?
Yeah, I think you're nervous. You're gonna forget lines. You're all those things.
All those things.
Yeah, and you're not very good. You show up, and you don't know what you're doing. But you're at the same time you're kind of going to acting class, and you're trying to learn the craft and get better as an actor.
Were there days where you were at the acting class and going, when you leave, you felt like, I actually learned quite a bit tonight? Like just working through things that you didn't understand, is like the acting classes help that much?
What they do a lot of is they get you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And that's where you grow.
Right.
If you get out of your comfort zone, you all of a sudden feel comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Right. Welcome to Let's Poddy.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Let's Poddy with Benji Weatherly. Well, welcome, Perry. This is Perry Farrell.
I would take a board, like some board that I would want to fuck it up, so I'd get it. If it didn't cost that much money, then I'd take it and I would redo the tails.
You would wait. You get existing boards and then tear the fiberglass off?
Yeah.
No way. That's
yeah.
cool.
Well, it was my way of like.
Did you even know where to buy
shit out.
foam boards back then, like blanks?
Yeah. No, there were surf shops. There were surf shops over there.
But you would tear apart old boards and then redo the rails and kind of do them your way?
Redo the tails and put in like an extra fin, trying shit out.
Yeah.
So I was living in Cardiff by the sea. And that's, at first, when I first got to California, I was living in Oceanside.
This is 70s?
Yeah, this is the 70s.
Oceanside in the 70s?
Oceanside Pier.
Was it really
right
run down back then? You know how it kind of was back in the day?
Only gnarly. It was gnarly. It was only like Marines.
Yeah, Marines.
They called them jarheads back then. It's like, oh man, you got to be careful of them jarheads.
It's pretty bad down there back in the day, I heard.
They're really gnarly, and they're all pumped up on like food that the military's feeding them, and they like to fight.
Yeah.
But I found a place on the beach for it was a bachelor pad, right? It was so run down and gross that, so what I would do is there was roaches everywhere, right? And to tell the landlord, you got to do something about these roaches. I had a jar of roaches going, So I had like this jar full of
Every
roaches.
one of them, I went $10 off rent.
Every time he'd come around, to get the rent, I go, look at these roaches. So all my friends in Florida found out that I was living in Oceanside. So then they all just showed up without even being invited, and we were all living. I ran with my own surf posse, so there was about 5 of us.
By the pier?
It was right near the pier, but you could get to the pier walking in about 20 minutes, maybe.
Down south on Yokohama's, like down there. Yeah.
But I was right off the beach,
good waves right
man.
there. Really good waves.
I found my own little left.
Oh, that's so
that
cool.
was a consistent left. And then when my boys found out I was there, they all came out, and we were all of us living in this bachelor pad. It was just one room. It was not like it was a room and then a living room. It was a room, and then it had like an area that had a refrigerator. But,
and just a bong.
A bong and like surfboards with
wetsuits stinking the whole place up.
And all the
every one of my friends' houses
towels
smells like that.
Was the sheets. So everybody slept
dried
on
off
their
the sheets.
surfboards.
That's so cool. Those are the best times of my life back in those days. Being a surf rat there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being a surf rat. And all you want is a Mexican burrito after you surf for 7 hours. And then all you want is beer right before you go to bed and a bong load done. Surfers. Easiest people to get along with.
Great waves to think about and dream about and just.
And at that point, you're not thinking anything to do with music. At that point, you're just like, what happened when you got here? Did you start shaping, or did you not? You just kind of put that aside.
Far because I saw, man, this scene here is gnarly for the professional side of it, the business side of the industry. It was way crazy, way more than I didn't want to get into all that. I just loved. Like I said, this was just when they were starting to make skate parks.
Oh, right.
But before that, I would go around the neighborhood and I would steal from the houses that were being built. I would steal their wood.
Nice.
And then we would find somebody's backyard, because I lived in Florida. Everybody lives on a lake, kind of in a way, and the lakes usually have like steep inclines into the water. So I was making skate ramps the best way we could. You know, we would, like I say, take the wood and then we would nail everything together. And sometimes, man, you eat it really bad because the wood comes up on the nail.
Yeah. That's where masonite came in. You put the little masonite in front of the 2x4. I mean, the
but
plywood
we
because it
didn't
was
even
so
know
thick.
that stuff yet.
That's what I grew up. I mean, what you're talking about is exactly how I grew up. I started skateboarding and got into surfing because of it, because you're kind of tired of hitting your knees on the cement. You're like, I kind of want to be around girls in bikinis.
Yeah.
I kind of like being rinsed off instead of.
The beach bunnies, man. That was the other reason why I came out to California.
Right?
Because we would see what we called and ing. So basically that's surfer and surfing. So, but when they would come out, did you get
the magazines?
New ing? Yeah.
Oh my
Did you
God,
see
right?
the new air?
I talked about the other day. I had a podcast with my friends, and we talked about how it's when a surf mag came out, we would be over each other's shoulders because only one guy would be able to hold it, and we'd be like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
oh
you
my God,
couldn't believe that the next issue, the waves are fucking gnarlier than the last, one after the next.
Isn't that fun?
And you just go like, "Oh my God, is that real?" Or they couldn't have made that.
Yeah,
when we first started seeing them getting air.
Yes.
And then no, they couldn't
They
have
didn't
made
make
that.
They couldn't have made that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I had to come and see for myself.
All right. Well, this is like the movie Step Brothers. There's the curly hair guy that's kind of ugly. That's me. And then actually Will Ferrell's pretty ugly too. But no one looks as cute as him in Step Brothers. But this is my main stepbrother right here.
That's what I was gonna say.
We became best friends a long time ago.
I'm your Batman. I'm your
Robin.
Robin. I'm your Robin to your Batman.
Nice. I like, but we switch roles all the time. Yeah. When we're in Hawaii, he's Batman and I'm Robin.
And then I'm your Beavis to your Butthead.
So with no further ado, let's potty, and with Benji Weatherly and my boy Kalani Rob right here.
We were selling clothes, doing what we were doing on Taylor's thing when we were having fun. We were selling clothes when we were on tour and stuff, but I wasn't having fun because it's like 25 minutes out of the day, you're like, oh, he's got to go to the contest. We all got to wait. Go do my contest thing, hurry up and lose. Then we can go surf and do what we really want to do. But for the most part, that was like the chores. I was like, and then we didn't want to surf there unless it was good. And then it was always better down the beach. So it was like, we had it wired. And then now the same thing is I just want to find out because I knew I was getting old. So I was like, oh, I just want to have fun. Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of that, I was like, well, I knew I used to be the Ripper. These guys are the old. I'm the old dude. I have kids, like having fun. Oh, perfect. I'm just gonna have fun. Do what I used to do. Let John guys rip because they rip. I can't rip like that anymore. I know my place. But then in between them ripping, I can still rip the boogie board and have fun. I can rip it having fun.
Yeah, 100%.
And
it's undeniable because you're not doing it and it doesn't look contrived. That's why I love it. It's you guys are fucking really doing something. Like you're not half-assing it, and that's why it's blowing up. I ride around in San Clemente with this guy on those electric bikes, and we're flying by, and people are screaming in the streets, "Get it, girl!" Like some saying that these guys came up with, and it's like so incredible to see the second resurgence of your career.
When we did it at Lowers, the
so
little kid goes
I
by.
thought they were teasing me.
And
we had my
what did you say?
I'm like this, and the kids they go like this. They put their head up, and they're all, "Get it, girl!" And they did it right to my face, and I'm all, and I rolled up to Kalani. I'm all, "Did that motherfucker just say get it, girls?" And he goes, no, that's cool, like that's okay. And I'm like, no, it isn't. He's not that kid. And he was seriously put his head up like, "Get it, girls," and I'm like, ah. And then find out later that's their tagline for beef videos.
I was like, no, that's a good thing. That's what we say. You're like, what?
Get it, girl?
Get it, girl. But you're a boy.
Oh man, it was funny. And I thought it was funny because I'm like this big old fat dude on a bike, and I was just like thinking I'm ripping. I think I'm ripping on this electric bike, and the kid just goes, "Get it, girl," and I'm all, "Oh no, he's making fun of me on a bike because I'm old and I'm stupid." And all my insecurities came in, and come to find out, the kid was throwing it like, "Yeah, you guys." So now I don't know who likes me and who hates me. Just so you know, he was him, Sonny, and even Aquila for a minute. Like we're kind of the surfers. Chava Greenlee, my brother Ryan Wilson, but there was a surf crew of really gnarly Supercross guys. And he was one of them.
Way gnarlier than
and then
any of us.
And he broke his wrist, and that was. And then this is the height of his surf career and stuff.
That was fun.
But he was
great.
like,
dropped by all my
and you would always go to the races too. I'd be like, "Where are you going?" You're like, "I'm going to Anaheim. Watch these motherfuckers race." And I'd always be like, "What?" So I mean, he's as tight as. I mean, he's rode for Fox for God's sakes. But
Fox for 9 years.
Would you have liked to be Jeremy McGrath more than Kalani Robb?
Well, Jeremy McGrath's like Kelly.
No, but what I'm saying is okay, whatever guy is on your level, which is pretty much
if I
Jeremy
could have
McGrath.
been Emig,
Yeah, like Emig.
Oh.
Yeah, just because it's such a, it's because it's so fucking rad. Yeah, I did the fucking stupid race with the surf and turf or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and me, Danny Way, and Bruce Irons were in it. I think you were in it too, but
year.
he was so much better than us. I had to do it with the real pro guys.
We all had to do it with the real
Yes,
pro guys.
but I didn't know, and I've never ridden a bike. And I'm going, and these fucking assholes are jumping 3 times the 3 dumps. I'm just going over them like this, and this asshole's like right down, right next to me. I'm like, what? Why is this happening? And I'm flying. I just want to get it done. I remember I only did like 1 out of 10 miles, and I went to Danny Way, and Danny Way's like, it's fucking crazy, right? And I'm like, you're the craziest guy I've ever met, and this is crazy, right? And he's like, it's fucking sketchy. I got a really cool guest today. We'll
see about that.
It's Chris, and how do you say your last name?
Shiflett.
Yeah, dude, there's so much to talk about. We just realized when he showed up just now, we met in, what was that, like 10 or 15 years ago at Kelly Slater. Kelly used to have this thing called the Celebrity Surf Contest.
It was the Kelly Slater Invitational, and I had seen. I think the year that I met you it was on the Big Island. That was like the second time it happened.
The first one was Tabaroo, I think.
Yes, which would have been better because I don't know if you remember, we didn't get any waves that year. But I saw a thing like on MTV or something about the first one. I was like, oh my God, how can I get myself invited to that? So I made it like my mission to get invited to it, and I did, and then there you go.
What they did is they put a pro surfer with a celebrity. It was mainly musicians, right? I think it was almost all because it was Incubus guys. My partner was Ashley Simpson, and I knew at the dinner when Kelly's like, "You're with Ashley Simpson." I was like, "He's fucking with me, man." I can't believe I can't have one of these cool rock stars in my team. I got to have this high maintenance girl, but she ended up being so sweet and cool, and we won because she's so famous. They're like, "You win." I'm like, "She stood up."
I got Ross Clark Jones.
Did you really?
Yeah,
that's pretty sick.
That was like a really like kind of like humiliating moment for me. I mean, he was great. He was totally cool. But we were at one point at the waves were so small, and at one point he paddled out on a big old longboard, like a giant longboard, and made me just get on the front of it and. He caught a wave and literally held me by my bathing suit. So I was like,
we're talking about like, God, how could you even explain Ross Clark Jones? He's
pretty heavy.
He's an animal, like a legit animal. Like he surfs the biggest waves, and he's just like the alpha of all males. And that was his partner.
I remember, you know what kind of tripped me out on that? It was the first time I'd been around like a bunch of pro surfers.
Yeah.
And the waves were pretty small, and I remember thinking like, well, this is, we've all paddling out there, so we'll get some waves, whatever. And you guys took all the waves. Like, I was like, there's no way that these guys are going to care, right? They get to surf like the best waves in the world. But every wave I tried to go on, there'd be like 5 pro surfers, like that much deeper than
Look who was on a longboard with a guitar. You're like,
seriously.
Can I just catch a wave?
There's nothing, as a non-professional surfer, I have to say, there's nothing more humiliating and horrifying than seeing your video footage of yourself surfing. Because there's the way you surf in your mind, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no,
right. You know
what happened?
That's how you get good at surfing, is you watch it and you want to die, and then you watch it again and you get a little bit better, and then by watching it, you're like, I will never look like that again. I have to get better. It's so true.
Every time I see myself surfing, I think to myself, God, I got to start doing yoga. What the fuck is happening?
Are you regular foot?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just found out, we just figured out my 14-year-old's goofy foot the other week. When
was
we were
he regular foot before?
He's been surfing regular foot his whole life, and I'm sitting there.
Though.
We were at Halama, and I see him take off on a wave. I go, did you just take off goofy foot? And he was like, no. I was like, huh. And then I saw him do it again. I was like, you just went goofy foot. And he was like, no, I didn't.
No way.
He didn't. He had like a negative. He thought that goofy foot was a bad thing to be.
No way.
That there was some negative connotation to it. And I was
so
like,
he can
no,
switch.
it's fine.
He can switch.
Yeah, maybe.
That's kind of the
he's,
future.
He switched his leash now, and he's
No, that's insane. Yeah, I think regular footers just have better lives. The goofy footers. I'm just kidding.
I seem to be friends with a lot of goofy footers though, so I always
Me
get
too.
stuck on
My best
lefts.
friend,
and I
Connie
can't
Robb.
surf a left. I'm dead. Horrendous on a left.
Really? That's backside's my favorite thing. I know
Really?
It sounds weird. Yeah, I love backside. I think it's just the way you can lean into backside bottom turns is my favorite thing in the world. Just because you're on your heel edge, you know. So it's like a frontside carve the whole time. Does that make sense?
Okay,
So
I like going
frontside-
left.
My favorite thing is a frontside carve, which is a heel edge like that, and backside. It's like it's just that feeling. I love backside carve. We have Coco Ho. She's coming in hot from Hawaii.
Hi.
Yeah. She grew up on Hawaiian music and Lau Lau. Sure. No, this is great. You know what? Because I've known her whole life, and she's only known me for like 2 years. And and the greatest thing about it is I got to watch her grow up, and I'm waiting until you finally do it. Nah, just kidding.
Is this a roast?
No, not yet. No, I gotta get warmed up. No, but we have Coco Ho here. I am so grateful to have my little sister here from Hawaii. What's it like to be the youngest ho? Is this in between two ferns or what? This is getting weird.
There's a lot more hoes.
Okay. No, there younger hoes.
They're younger hoes.
Well, she has
Plenty of them.
She has the most prolific surf family in the world. There's no doubt about it. Her uncle was the world champ, Derek. Rest in peace. Michael Ho is her father. I don't want to tell the whole story. I want you to tell me, but your family is lit, as they say.
They are.
You have some incredible members of your family, and my
Physically
favorite
and
surfer.
mentally
Not
lit.
to like slurp Mason more, but whew, he's fun to watch, and I don't mean in the water.
You mean in the interview? I was born and raised San Clemente summer gal.
The hoes
And
have always kind of
yeah,
been San Clemente,
we're-
the Beshens, the
Yep,
families up there.
exactly. And I've definitely merged.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more in Encinitas thanks to Mark.
How was the
You're good.
family reunion you had a couple days ago? Everyone came in for the U.S. Open. You said you had your pops was coming. Did your mom come? Who else came?
Oh, Dad didn't come.
Oh, he never came?
You know why he didn't come?
Uh-uh.
There was traffic on the North Shore.
Oh, well.
So he couldn't get to the
The
airport
turtles.
in 4 days.
The turtles kept
I'm
him.
like, you have 4 days to get to the airport.
He's like, hey, the turtles are still going.
No, seriously. I promise
I love
to
it.
God that was his excuse. So I was like, okay, you don't need to come. But yeah, Mom came to California. That was a
Cool.
treat.
How was mom?
She loved it. She was tripping.
What? Does she like it here?
She's only been here like 3 times.
She trip out.
Yeah.
Dude, human beings everywhere. She thinks the turtle traffic's bad.
Yeah.
Imagine Mike gets there, finally gets to the airport, and he gets to L.A. He's like, holy shit, where are the turtles at? I mean, there's more turtles in L.A. than on the North Shore, bro. Honestly, a Friday afternoon, there's turtles everywhere.
Yeah. So I can see the generations before me, the battle and fight that the girls, mostly my dad's generation. I feel like Benji them were already like nice to Rochelle and Megan, and Lisa was a hoot. Everyone was like fun and cool. The girls before, I think, had a really tough time. Like even my
The
dad's
Trudy
like,
Todds.
my
the
dad's
Kim.
like, even I like could have been nicer. And now I have
Yeah.
a daughter, professional surfer.
a good
like,
question.
Shit. But my generation had it really well. Like we're fully accepted. I had a brother and a dad and an uncle that was right there with me that might have scared anyone.
Yeah,
But-
you know when I knew that the tides have turned is when you go by all the surf shops in California, and I'm not gonna say 90, but like 80% are the women surfers now.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible for that
Yeah.
because that shows you how powerful their marketing is, where they're the ones selling shit now. I'm here with one of my BFFs, somebody that I hold dearly to my heart, and probably knows Terrence and Phillip, right? Have you ever met them?
Terrence and Phillip?
From Canada?
Oh, buddy.
This is my
Thanks for
Canadian.
having
This
me,
is my guy,
man.
Mark McMorris, right here, ladies and gents. Does there a count of medals for the X Games? Where do you put them? You just throw them in the garage?
Honestly, I give all the hardware to my folks.
That's
They
cool.
love it at the lake in Saskatchewan.
Right.
My dad has like such a
shrine.
Yeah, straight up. It's
That's dope.
insane. It's almost embarrassing, but he loves it, and it's not like the hardware that really means anything to me. It's more like how you rode that day and the memories from
Right.
that thing, and it's neat to go there and see some of those accolades, but I don't need them in my personal home, and my parents love it, so they go there. And this winter, just focus on maybe like 3 slopestyle events and 3 natural selection events, or I don't know if it's going to be a 4-stop tour or what the deal is, but I want to put some emphasis on that and some emphasis on filming, because last year with an Olympic year, you're just qualifying, and then going to the games, and then after it's like it's already March and it's hard to put together a video part. So.
It is weird though, being in action sports, that when you're going for a medal or whatever, everyone thinks it's about the win, but you really just want to impress your peers. You want to have a run that even if you lose in the semis, you're like, dude, I stuck that run and it was perfect and everything, and that means more than a trophy.
And that's all you can think when you're in a sport that's judged. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do what you came there to do, and not give an F about anything else. And usually, if you ride to the best of your ability, if you're one of the top guys, there's a good chance you can win, and it's not the same winner on each weekend. But like you said, I've had a lot of success at the same venues.
But do you drive when you go snowmobiling to a place, look at it, keep driving and look, and is it like that? Totally. So you get your coffee and you get all like, where are we going?
And then you stop and you have your little bag and you can bring out your coffee, have a sip, look at the zone, see what the light's doing, and what the snow's doing. And sometimes wind has affected some aspect, but you go around the corner and it's straight.
So I guess there is snow check.
It's very common in the backcountry side of snowboarding and filming, and a lot of recreationalists too have snowmobiles up in Canada. You'd be appalled, and a lot of them are accessing better terrain.
Was there ever a minute in your life that you're like, I might want to be a pro hockey player?
Oh, for sure. When I was really young as a kid, I just wasn't getting to go to the mountains all the time, and I was playing really competitive Tier 1 hockey. And at some point, Team Saskatchewan started, and there was some government funding for the snowboarders, because snowboarding's been an Olympic sport for a long time. There was some funding for us to go to the mountains, and I started to fall in love with that. Had 1 year with a bad hockey coach. I was just like, wow, snowboarding is for me, and there's no rules, and I'm just really into this.
Yeah.
And
you have plenty of time to get yelled at by Jake. So
exactly. I ended up being disciplined even more in the end. But
he's like, stop pointing. Say please.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut when you're eating.
Yeah, dude.
I swear to God, that shit sticks with me. Yeah, people point at me, I'm like, don't point. And I'm like, why did I do that? Oh, sorry, Jake. It's crazy. He's the best, man. The best ever.
Yeah, a lot of really good teacher of life lessons.
All right, well, here we go. We got Let's Poddy episode 12, 13, 14. We don't care. But I have, someone that was on my second or third podcast and had probably some of my best feedback. A lot of people said that me and you seemed like we knew each other and stuff, and I had a good report. So I figured, why not make more uncomfortable moments and talk about for one, we're shamelessly presenting Salento in your lips. And tell a little bit about Salento. I mean, I know the story Todd and a few of us have talked about, but what's Salento Tequila, and why are you trying to get people drunk?
Yeah, I'm stoked to have this episode brought to you by Salento. But for me, Salento, is a journey that actually started way back when we started making things. As a filmmaker, I was pretty green. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was learning on the job. But my interests were making capturing the best action, and so doing that, working with you guys, Kelly, Rob, all the crew, I learned how to be a filmmaker. And from there, I wanted to really push my skills and sort of go beyond just capturing action and make something that captured the feeling of travel and that sort of beauty of that, and made Sipping Jet Streams and these other films. And then from there, I felt like I went through that journey of discovering new waves and capturing that to, telling the story of different sort of similarities between people and the sort of connections around the world. And so made a film called Proximity and I really got inspired by that idea. And being a filmmaker nowadays is a tough gig. It's hard to get sponsors, or it's hard to get commercials to do that. So, I started doing a little bit of creative advising and stuff, and I started to really think about what I'm advising and how that fits my values. And I circled it all back to, I'll create a brand that stands for everything I believe in, and with the message of really bringing community together, inspiring people to be more present and just add value to someone's lives. And so that's when I really sort of honed in on when are those moments. And for me, like, a lot of the best moments were, with friends in New York, Todd DeCercio being one of them, or just like these little dinner parties where we're sharing stories of the past and we're catching up. And I wanted to sort of create something that would inspire those moments.
But he just wrapped up. It was actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5-day festival.
Yeah.
And you guys did a surf contest in the middle of that. You had 3 nights at La Paloma, which, if you guys don't know La Paloma, it's like our Greek theater for surfing. What else went on in that festival that you want to talk about? I mean,
the whole idea of it is sort of like what I was talking about before of even creating Slinto. It's adding value to the community and making something that hopefully creates a memory, because I feel like those memories that are special and unique bond us together. Yeah. And I think like nowadays, like we just, especially with movies, we're watching them on our phone, and in California we're in our cars driving around and we're not really seeing people the same as like I noticed when I was in New York. And so the idea is like, what will bring people together in a fun way so that we are doing things in a group and sharing these moments and participating together and having fun. And, my wheelhouse is surfing and surf films and who I know, and having friends participate. Your stand-up comedy was awesome. We had great conversations with the Momentum crew.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, honestly, we had the main night of it was Saturday night, and we had Rob and Kelly and Kalani and Pat O'Connell, I guess, was up in the rafters hiding from us. Timmy Curran's, appearance was probably the highlight of the whole show. I mean, Timmy Curran is the most humble little jerk, and it was so nice to honor him that night, and just it was I got to say, it was probably one of the best days I've ever had in my life. I got to do stand-up in front of all my best friends, and then I got to hang out with all my heroes and best friends, and you giving us all the questions, and just that whole thing was so much fun, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it was, like just Tim Curran. A lot of us have got plenty of credit over the years.
Yeah. Milking the cat. Oh my God!
I had a slip on stage. I meant to say we're milking the cow one more time, but I said milking the cat by accident.
I'm totally going to show the photo. I'm sorry. But it was such a funny moment, because my favorite thing about comedy and humor is when the joke comes around again. And that night it came around like 20 times, and then Timmy sending that photo. Ooh, that made me laugh. It made me happy, but it was one of the funniest nights. Just seeing how excited Kelly is to have those moments really, really shows the kind of character that guy has. He's, if either one of us was as famous and who he is, I would be living in Afghanistan under a rock, probably doing crystal meth. I mean, that's always been my dream, and I've never been famous enough.
Afghanistan under a rock?
Yes. I mean, that seems like a dream life. But Kelly, he just seems to like, hey, I want to go to the Maldives and beat all my friends at surfing, and I want to go to this film festival and be cooler than everybody. Everything about him is just so lit, as they say. It's insane. Then he shows up the next day, and it looked like he was ripping. I mean, he was ripping.
He was ripping. And Timmy went on to win the comp.
That's so cool. He won.
And we just did some fun comps down at the beach. It was like you started out with 30 people in the water at once, 30-minute heat, and one wave, and it counts. So if you catch a bad wave and it dies, then you're bummed, or you catch one.
But you only get one score.
One score, okay. One wave. So take some pressure off, because a lot of people went, "Oh, I just."
That's kind of my. That should have been.
You
my
would have
content.
done good.
30 minutes, one wave.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I probably would have fallen asleep, but
yeah.
Definitely my kind of event, one and done.
But yeah,
we should call it the one and done.
That's funny.
That's actually good.
Yeah. Well, Timmy went on to win it, so it's sort of Timmy's weekend, and I'm stoked for him, because, like I said, he's the most underrated progressive surfer. He invented some aerials that people today use constantly, and no one ever mentions them.
No, it's 100% true. Someone said, you sent the photo of the Momentum crew, and my girlfriend's like, "Where's Timmy?" And I go, He sent the photo, but he's not in it. Oh, the other thing about Timmy, we were in the Momentum Generation, the one in Santa Monica, where all the celebrities came out, red carpet, and I'm walking to the restroom in my stupid suit, like thinking I'm cool, like whatever, and I look up in the audience, Dan Malloy, Timmy Curran, and I see him up at the top of in just the crowd, just sitting there watching the movie like a jerk, right? And I go, guys, what is happening? And I go like this, and they come over to me, and they're all, we're just such big fans, like, and I'm all, what? I'm like, big fans? I'm like, you're the guy, like whatever. And I just remember that in my head forever is going to be looking up at the fans. All of us are getting like kissed, and everyone's taking pictures of us, and we're so cool. And the guy that's just as, I think, better than all of us is sitting up in the crowd, just sitting there with his hand.
So do you have regrets for not putting him in the movie?
Well, if I made the movie, I would have not put him in either, because he makes me look bad, and he's, I don't know. He's closer to God than me, and I don't like that either. But I don't know. I just think he's such a humble. That was so embarrassing when he's just like, I'm just honored to be here with you guys. I was like, shut up and be cocky or something. You're so good at surfing, But yeah, what a legend, and what a cool night. And the festival. The cool thing about your festival is this is year 2, and by year 10, it's gonna be the biggest thing going in the world. I have a really cool, amazing guest that I've in the last few years gotten pretty close to, and not in like a sexual way, but in a friendship way. And his name is going to be a good one because he's Italian, just like my producer. And we got Todd DeSerio. How do you say it?
Oh, you were so close.
Oh,
you were
so
right
close.
there. DeSercio.
DeSercio. And he's one of Taylor Steele's best friends and one of the best artists. That's why I'm excited, because me and art are like me and, diet. Don't know anything, but I love it. Art's like one of my favorite things in the world. I like to consider myself an artist, because I surf. Yeah.
That's like the best way to approach it, though. It
so
really
fun.
is. Like,
everyone's like, I'm an artist. I do podcasts. You're like, shut the hell up. Like,
I've heard some descriptions of it over the years. I'm just a mark maker. The way I see it, I'm making marks. It's expressionism.
Mark maker? That's kind of a cool way of saying
expressionism.
It. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think it's really driven by emotion. Mm-hmm. It has to do with a lot about my past and how I was brought up, and just things that I reflect on in all these moments I've experienced. So, yeah, and it's really the fuel for it all the time. So when I was young, I would, my mom would just put paper in front of me. But one thing that I really remember the most about drawing, and I think this is what brought me to doing these live performance events and things like that, it just made me comfortable with doing that, was I used to put paper over the television, and I would trace like football games. No way. So I'm tracing the guys like as fast as I can, like running down the field. And I'm doing this, and I'm like, look, I drew a football player, and it's like, you traced that. But I was like, but they were moving. It was just this thing where I would do that. I remember tracing, like, and we didn't have a VCR. So it wasn't like I could put it in there and just stop it, pause it.
Who gave you that idea to trace off the TV? You just did it yourself?
I just did it.
That's cool.
Well, you know what? The static off the TV used to stick. The paper would stick there, so I just put a bunch of sheets up, and I
That's insane.
Draw on top of them. I remember in high school, I was in that realm of like, a better painter or renderer than some kids and whatever. But I never compared myself with anyone that way. It was just like I could figure out like how to paint light, or like understand dimension or depth, and that kind of came naturally to me. It was like an easy for life drawing, things like that really came natural to me. It felt right to be able to create dimension and space. And I think when I went to college, I mean, honestly, my family, as much as they love me, they were like, listen, you're not going to be able to do art for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but you're going to have to pick a major in school that has nothing to do with art, or whatever. And I was like, why? And I questioned it through and through, to the point that I paid for my own education to go to art school. And I was like, well, then I'm just going to do it myself. I mean, if I have to do this, then I'm going to do it. And so that's where it brought me into, I went to Kutztown University for fine art. I had the support of my mom's family, but I think they were, I'm
nervous for you, and you're still doing it. Like, honestly, it's like when people always ask me, you're going to be a pro surfer your whole life? I'm like, no, but I don't know what else to do.
Right.
It's what I like.
I still feel like a very underground artist, and I'll probably remain that way. And then,
yeah, that's cool, man.
And I love that.
No, I have so much respect for it, because it's not what I went through, but obviously as an artist, it is a scary thing because you're like, I hope someone likes it. Like the whole time you're kind of like thinking, is that good? You know, like for me, if I was an artist, I would always be insecure. I would always be like, if someone's like, hey, that thing's so cool, I'd be like, do you really think that? Or, you know, like it's just kind of similar to my surfing where I would put something out there and be like, they probably hate it. They're talking shit. Like they don't care. No sponsor's not going to sponsor me next year. I'm not good enough, this and that. All of that self-doubt with art, it's such a judgment thing for all these people, but it's undeniable when you get to a level like you where obviously you're making money off it, then you're like, oh, I guess they like it. And then you got to kind of work through all those feelings probably, huh?
I think art school kind of settles that.
Oh, really? Tell me about art school. What do you learn in art school?
Because they do critiques in art school. And well, I don't know if they do it anymore. You know, the states aren't having these critiques because it makes people drop out. They lose money when one student
so you mean like they're giving you full criticism to
Oh.
kind of get you ready for the real world?
Oh
is
my
what
God!
it's like.
It was just a thing they did, you know, for every project or every, you know, syllabus or whatever you had in your drawing studio classes or painting studio classes. Every, you know, semester you'd have at the end of it, or even midway, you'd have some kind of like painting to do that was yours to do on your own. That was part of a choice you had, or, you know, and I'm not sure what every curriculum is, but for ours, it was like when you came to that critique, it was eggshells. And you had your work up that you had to do. And you could tell, I mean, I could tell if someone rushed something or was like, yeah, I've been working on this whole semester. What are you talking about? And you could just sometimes look at things and you could see that thing. And then critiques were very serious for me. And I went head to head with a lot of
Was it hard to hear in the
teachers.
beginning? Like someone criticizing? That's got to be horrific, right?
Yeah, it's...
Because they don't see what you see. You're like, no, this is what it is. And they're like, well... And
No,
then
you
you're
can
like,
try to
"You don't
smother
understand."
it with words.
Right.
But you can try to make a word salad out of your painting. But, you know, drawing and painting, really drawing, is the truth. And to get to the bottom of it, you need to be able to say the most with the least.
Right, with your art. Right?
I think that goes for almost anything you do in life. You know, you want to get down to that. You want to be able to refine your work to that. So art school was, you know, finding the line between, you know, drawing a model and then embellishing the model. You know, or like where is that?
We're here at Let's Poddy again, and I'm with a really old man that I've known as old as I am, and one of my best friends that from back in the day when life was good. Remember those days? You know?
Oh, yeah.
We got Rick DeVoe.
Hey, I was up in Malibu at my nephew's house, Keegan Gibbs, he was a little kid at the time, with Brad Teufel, I think, and we were up there surfing or something, and Alan calls me panicking. So if you guys can understand what Alan is, I don't know how to explain him.
He's the Carl from Caddyshack. He's the guy that is the property manager, if you will, of
he runs
La Paloma Theater in Encinitas.
The most iconic surf film.
It's our Greek theater of surfing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so legendary. Every big surf movie that's ever come out in 30 years has been
they
there.
premiere there.
Yeah.
But he calls me a couple nights before, and he starts, this is when he had hair, he starts snapping at me. You didn't tell me who these guys are. I dug in and I found out they caused a riot in Hollywood, and they have a big skinhead following, and you didn't tell me that. You hid that from me. And I'm like, well, it's gonna be fine. Yeah. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like, just relax.
You must have been
He was
so stressed.
shitting his pants.
I bet.
And so I remember the morning of the show. I was down in Mission Beach. I got up extra early, like 5:30. Our tickets were made. I made all the tickets at Kinko's. I did all the flyers at Kinko's. Cut and paste. So we're just, and the only way we secured them, like, to make sure they were original tickets was I went and got like a stamp at like the 99-cent store. And if the ticket had the stamp of a ghost, it was like a real ticket. It was like,
unbelievable.
It was crazy. But I remember surfing that morning. I went out and I paddled out the jetty, and the waves were really glassy, 1 foot. I was the only one out, and I was like, something big is going to happen today, and this is probably like the biggest thing in my life so far. And I remember I was just surfing the jetty, and I just remember taking that time to just really get ready. So I went into Encinitas that night, went over to Taylor's. I got to see his editing lab, and I started meeting all the boys. You know, I met Kelly and Rob, and it was so cool. I met Taylor, and he had nicknames for everybody. I think Taylor's
that was when
nickname,
he lived with his parents with the basketball.
up in the thing, and I remember he told me Taylor's nickname was Bonehead, and Taylor didn't like that.
He hated that.
Yeah, he didn't like that. Sorry, Taylor. But that is surf.
That is it.
Culture history. But I was just like so stoked. Betty was so nice. I met Cody. He was just a grom. And then we put these shows on, and this was much bigger than anything I had done. I'd done one. Well, I mean, I sold out the whiskey, the same kind of thing, but not with Pennywise. Pennywise had, I mean, the theater held 390 people, but it was seated up to the stage. And Pennywise is a slam band.
Yeah, how did they get the seats out? I don't remember.
If I recall, we agreed to take out once Alan accepted the fate that this was coming to the venue. He's like, well, then I'm taking out the first 3 rows. I'm like, okay, that's probably smart.
Yeah.
So he took out he unbolted all the seats. So we had a slam pit, if you remember.
Yeah, I totally
We had a slam pit, but there was no barricade. And what a barricade basically is just a big, like it comes in pieces and it clicks together, and it's a shield to protect the artists in the stage. There was no barricade. These kids were squished right up to the edge. Both shows sold out. Okay, half of the people drove from Hermosa Beach. The other half were from either Mission Beach or from Costa Mesa. The Volcom crew came down because Pennywise was sponsored by Volcom. Troy Eckert, Wooly, I mean, you name it. Everyone who was anyone was there. And Balzer, I mean, like, dude, it was just like insane, but it got so crazy. We could have done probably 700 tickets a night that
easily,
thing.
yeah.
Kids were climbing up the walls, up the catwalks. They were sneaking in, breaking through windows. I mean, it really, the building got thrashed a little bit. And, dude, I didn't have insurance. I didn't have anything. I just had I didn't even have any money to pay for them. Like, if they didn't do it, I didn't know how I was going to pay for anything. But we got the projector going. We got the movie going. Taylor kind of handled that part. I got the bands. I got the PA. And it all came together. And it was very legendary. It was still, I mean, years ago, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, a guy paddles up to me. He's like, hey, are you Rick DeVoe? I'm like, yeah. He's like, did you do Big Dummy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, I was at night 2 or whatever of the Momentum thing. And I had never experienced anything like that in my life. And all the surfers, they were young. Kelly had hair. Rob had an afro.
17.
I mean, Benji was so good looking. Every girl was after Benji. Jason, your brother, had hair. Joe Curran looked still like Joe Curran. But it was so cool. And as a surf fan, the farthest I ever got in my pro surf dream was like maybe a round 2 at the WSA at Zuma Beach. That, we all want to be pro surfers, but now I'm hanging out with the real thing. And I'm just so obsessed with punk rock and music. So it was like a high that I can't explain. I actually got to make money. Taylor got massive exposure. Pennywise got paid. It all worked out. And that birthed the Focus Tour.
Right.
And the Focus Tour, we took it to the East Coast and we took it to Hawaii. An interesting story about that Hawaii show, I believe we booked Sublime to open.
Was Focus the time where we got dressed in disco
You got
outfits?
dressed in disco outfits.
That was the best premiere.
We all met up. It was, I believe the club in Honolulu was called After Dark.
Yeah.
I think it was called After Dark. And so we took that model, and then when Focus came out, Focus was huge. Now I had it. All right, now I did 2. Let's do a West Coast tour, an East Coast tour, and Hawaii. And it was like insane. I can't explain it. Now Kelly I think he's already maybe got a couple world titles under his belt. He's dating Pamela Anderson. Taylor is just like coming into like becoming one of the most iconic surf film directors of all time. Things were incredible. These tours were insane. It was chaos, and Pennywise did it, and Unwritten Law once again. So I got my band to be on it.
So that was the first time Unwritten Law got on tour?
Yeah. So I got Unwritten Law on the soundtrack. If you can get your song on the soundtrack, dude, your band was going to blow up, in some level, some way, shape, or form. But I was just ahead of the curve. I didn't know what I stumbled into, and I stumbled into. I don't know if Taylor knew what he was stumbling into, but we were creating something together that was next level. Like it was turning heads. And so I put this tour together. It was like that summer. And I remember I got a call from Bill Silva, who was a massive promoter in San Diego. And he calls me up, and I'm just this punk rock surf kid dude that's just putting on things that I love. And I got Billabong to sponsor it, and they were helping out. And he offers me a job right out of the gates. Like, he's like, I need, because I actually got an Offspring show off. I promoted an Offspring show at the Whiskey, another surf movie. I don't remember if it was a Taylor movie, but I think it was a different one. But that got him to play. Same formula. And he just couldn't understand how he couldn't get the Offspring show in San Diego because I had kind of a lock on these Epitaph bands.
Right.
It was just really bizarre.
He was calling this surfer kid to help him out. And Bill Silva would have Elton John, Whitney Houston. I mean, he was
Stones.
the Stones.
Back then it was called the
Golden
the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Murph.
Jack
Murphy Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, for those old school Charger fans. And so he's calling me up and he's like, Azal, I'll pay you $25,000 a year and all your expenses. I'm all,
what the heck?
I already had this whole tour done. Like, this was under my thing. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, $25,000 a year to put on concerts and marketing and promotion and travel. And like, dude, I'm in. So I put these tours on. I had this tour going, and I already started working for Bill now, like a month into it. And he's like, okay, well, when you're on the road, I want to give you this cell phone. I'm all, what? And he hands me like one of those Charlie's Angels, like
out of a briefcase.
Dude, it was so weird. I'm like I didn't even know what it was. So, of course, when we were on tour, we just kept using it and calling. I had no idea, dude, that the cell phone bill was
Is that
gonna be
the
like,
one my brother uses in the surf movie? Remember the one?
It might be.
He's holding it up at Seaside, and it's that phone.
It's a big one, but
it's so funny.
You know, I remember Taylor's like, I'm gonna call someone, and like Fletcher, and like I just used it. I didn't know, you know, I had no idea.
It costs $100 a minute.
But those shows were incredible on the East Coast, and that's where I got to meet Kelly. And I remember our first show, we rolled up, and it was finals time. It was in the fall, so I was getting ready for all my exams and stuff. And we pulled into Melbourne. We worked with a promoter named Fat Harry. Do you remember that name?
No.
Okay, so Taylor will remember Fat Harry.
Was that the one with the strip bar in the back?
Yes.
Aha! That story's next
level.
level.
That was shit. No.
That was the story.
That's
of
Orlando.
My life.
That actually was Orlando, but that was a Fat Harry show. So here we are, first show. Paul Gomez, when he was like
big guy,
big Paul Gomez, long hair, scary. We're all sitting in the parking lot. Pennywise just played, and I'm just like in awe. Prior to that, someone broke into our car and stole all my backpack with all my final exams.
Oh.
And we actually ended up finding who it was. A kid ratted on him, and me and Pennywise and Greg Browning and I think some other guys.
remember this story.
We went and found the kid's house and went and broke into his house, and I got my bag back. That's all I took. That's all I took.
But this is the final exams of college?
Yes, I was
this
going.
This is like Almost
SDSU.
Famous, the movie, right? you got Fletcher, 6'8", just scary as hell, breaking in to get your stuff back.
We got all my stuff back. I swear it's a true story. The kid was scared to death when they heard Pennywise wanted to beat him down, but like all the it was so cool that everyone supported me.
Yeah.
And it was only a few blocks down the street, but some kid ratted on him. But anyways, so the show happens in Melbourne. It was like in a strip mall.
Did you pass the exam?
Yeah, of course, dude.
That would have been odd if he got it, broke back in, and then failed.
It was just like, this is my career. I don't care what's going on econ, like whatever. It's so dumb. So but I'm carrying books from SDSU and stuff. But anyways, so our show ends, and we're all sitting in a strip mall. That's typical Melbourne Beach, Florida. Yeah. Strip mall. The venue was in a strip mall. The ceiling was 8 feet high. The stage was a foot.
I remember that place.
Hot box. I mean, CJ... Damo, they were like little kids. Damo, I think that was his first show. He was 12. Hobgood.
Yeah.
And so we're all sitting out there, and this car comes burning into the parking lot, shows over, just pulls up, and he's like, "Where's Kelly Slater?" And we're like, Gomez gets up, he's like, "Why? What's up?" He goes, "You tell him to watch his back, dude. Well, bossa." And Paul's all, get out of here. And we all chased the car.
What's
and they burned
Obasa
out.
mean?
Wobasa.
Wobasa?
It's a town. So I guess some guys wanted to beat up Kelly.
Of course they do. I still want to beat up Kelly.
Yeah, but they were like, want to be like gang member type.
And they were just mad because girls liked him. And
I don't know what it was, but I'll never forget that. It was just like, Joe, we're going to get him or something like that. And Gomez is like.
It's part of the movie right here.
Gomez is like kind of scary at this time. This is young Paul Gomez. Fletcher, like these guys, they
got out of there quick.
I was like, where's this going, you know? And so that was night one. And then, you know, then we went to Orlando. And I remember sitting next to Kelly. I told him this the other night. I was like, dude, all I remember was, you know, I'm sitting next to freak. Like, this is so rad, you know, like Kelly Slater and, you know, and everyone in the car, and we're driving. And he's sitting here telling me stories about him and Pamela Anderson, like radical stories.
That's so cool.
And I'm sitting here going, what the hell? It was just really cool. And the shows were amazing. Unwritten Law was there. And that was the night in Orlando. It wasn't the strip club night. That was the next tour. Fletcher, we all go to get beer and stuff at a 7-Eleven after the show. The show was raging, and we pull into a 7-Eleven parking lot, and I put the rental car, the van, in my name. I rented from Hertz. And I go in, and we're getting beer and stuff, and I look over, and the Unwritten Law guys are kind of passed out in the back of the van, and I see Fletcher sitting in the driver's seat of the van. I left it running because it was hot. It was air conditioning. And I'm like, no, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he locks the door, puts it in reverse, and takes off. And Fletcher steals the van that I rented for the Focus tour and takes off. And so these other people that were with us, this one girl and stuff, I'm like, hey, I get my van. And my band is in the back of this. And Taylor might have been back there. I don't even remember. He joyrides the van. He takes off, and we're driving at like 1:30 in the morning, and I'm chasing Fletcher. And I remember we're going down this back street.
Oh, my God.
We're in a back street, and it's pitch dark, and he stops. I'm like, oh, I got him. I'm going to get out. But he backs up, and I look, and there's like a dirt pile and a chain link fence that's chain linked, like guarding an orange orchard, because it's Orlando, oranges. And I'm like, what are you going to do? He backs up and guns it, jumps the dirt, smashes into the chain link fence, breaks the chain link fence. It's wrapped around my van. Oh, my God. He's driving through this orange orchard, just dirt. I'm like looking at him going, like, I couldn't even register it. Okay? And plus, remember, Unwritten Law and maybe Taylor Steele are in the back of this van. I don't even remember. And I'm like, what the hell? And it was like, so obviously the car that I was in, we couldn't chase them. So I had to go around on the streets. He goes through the other side of the field, smashes through the other chain link fence out onto the main road.
The van just destroyed.
Dude, he's driving our tour van down the street with sparks because the chain link fence is dragging on the street. Sparks are just flying. And I'm like, I'm in so much trouble.
Legend. But hey,
I love you, Benji.
It was a pleasure to have you on Let's Party. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Bye-bye.